Okay, so in this video I'm going to demonstrate how you can save, hopefully, your webcam settings or microscope settings in OBS. I know a few people have had some issues with it, and I was looking around for a workaround to it as well. I managed to find a video on YouTube that was done previously, not specifically for microscopes but for webcams in particular. So hopefully this will help you out. Now hopefully this will go the way it's supposed to go. I did try a few times before, but for some reason I kept getting little glitches and stuff like that. That wouldn't cause through the application that I'm using. That was just caused through me confusing the hell out of my PC and what have you. Anyway, let's sort of get down to it. Stop waffling on, Rob, and get down to it. Right, okay. So for the sake of this video, this is for Andy SER Swindon and anybody else who finds it useful. So you start off with a program called it's called Web Camera Config. Now this can be found on GitHub. I'll put a link in the description anyway to where you can get this from. So let's start with going on to my scope. I should have it here. Now if I go to my properties, which you can see on the screen here, and then I go to configure video, which I'll have to drag it over here, you can see that the camera settings are not set as default. So in other words, these are default, but they're not set up the way that I wanted them, as Andy has his as well. Now I sneakily took his settings and I copied the settings. So thanks for that, Andy. Appreciate it, buddy. So yeah, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to my file that I saved, and we will see. I'll come back to this. Hopefully I'll do it on the same screen. So if I go back to, I'll leave that screen open there because I'll minimize that. I'll just open another one. Now where I saved my file was in this little DLSR. This is my config file where I save my config file for the scope. So this is basically the same. Let me move that out of the way so you can see that. This is the same files we're going to create shortly. So obviously you can see there if I've left that as it is. Now if I close that, let me close that. Let me open this, and hopefully it should, if the computer is going to behave itself this time. If I click that, you'll get a pop-up screen. It comes up and then it flashes. So there's a command prompt screen in the back. Now if I go to my scope again and I go to properties, and I hope this is not going to make me look an idiot. So if I go to configure video, you should see that these are the settings that Andy uses for his scope on OBS, on his live stream. That's the ones he's got set. So how you do this is, let's close out of all this. Let me close that. So the way you do this is you download your let me move that, get rid of that there a minute. The way you do this is you download the webcam camera config file from GitHub. I'll put a link in the description, as I said. So what you then do is, now you've got that file there, you open up a command prompt. CMD doesn't have to be administrative rights, it can just be a CMD command prompt. So you open CMD. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can drag this file down to here. However, that didn't work for me. I tried that, and as you can see, you get the warning sign come up. So I put it back there. What I did instead was I right click the file and I select copy as path. So you can go back to your command, press your right mouse button. That should give you the link to the config file as opposed to just dragging it down. What you then do is you press your space bar, you add 2 minus characters, and then you type in the word save dev, just like that, and you press enter, and you should get a list depending on how many cameras you've got in your system or connected to your system. So the one we're interested in is this one here, which is the H1600 cam. That's your microscope. Once you've got that file there, you can leave that there. Now this executable creates a file, and it writes a file for you, a config file. So to find that file, you just go to your desktop, into your Windows C folder, go down to users, on your name, and if you scroll down you will see you'll have cam_set. That's the file that it creates. You can then copy that file or cut it, whichever you want to do. Close that, go back to here. You don't have to put it here, but it's just, you know, it's just the way that I've set it out. You then copy and paste that into there. You can close out of this now because it's no longer needed. Now, what you can do is you can create a shortcut from this. You don't have to, but you can if you decide you want to add it into the shell startup. I tried adding the shell startup shortcut into, and it didn't work. Upon boot it didn't work. Now that may be a Windows thing, that may be a shortcut thing, and maybe something I missed. But that will then create the files from your cameras. Your config file will probably look different to mine because obviously I've got a few cameras that are connected, and including my scope as well. The DLSR one, that was a Canon I had. I've took that down now because I'm using an OBSBOT Tiny 2 as an overhead cam. So that really is just something you can ignore, or I can ignore. So once you've done that, you can create a shortcut. Again, as I said, add it to your shell startup. That didn't work for me, so there's probably going to be a workaround for that, which I'll probably figure out later. And then what you can then do is to make sure that it does work. Go into OBS, to your scope again, and to prove that it works, hopefully this will behave this time, I'll go to properties again. I will click on configure video and bring up my properties again. Now again, these are set as you saw, they're set the same as what they were earlier. Now I will change, I'll close that window there. Not that you have to, but I'm just going to close it anyway so you can see better. I will change this here, change this here. I'll go back to here, change that as well, and I'll apply that. Now if I close that and I go back to my scope properties, go to configure video, you will see that the settings are as I just left them, as I just applied. Now if I was to close that, double click this file here, it'll bring up a C command field in the back. Now if I go to properties again, if I go to configure video, bring that over, these are set up now as Andy sets them up, so it does work. Okay, and that's how you do that. So I hope this video helped you. Obviously I know you were having some issues with following the other video and it didn't work for you, so hopefully this makes it a bit clearer. But as I said, if you know, hopefully this will work for you and you can get it done. So yeah, I hope it helps. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye now.